Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante, bringing up the truth from the outskirts of Gotham. Sometimes people get mad at the truth and they don't like it and they want you to just say what they agree with, but I've never done that on that show. Everything I say, I agree with. I don't say crazy crap because I'm chasing clicks. I don't chase clicks. I don't go against my own belief system because I think it's going to get me more views and clicks. And in some ways that's cost me. But that's why you're here, is just to call it out from my perspective. And I'm not going to go nuts and, yeah, I'm certainly not standing up. I'm not defending anybody publicly that hasn't defended me publicly anymore. That's not happening. So we've talked a lot about on this show how Joe Biden, Donald Trump could have done this too, could just, for the wave of a pen, done student debt forgiveness, which would infuse literally almost $2 trillion into the economy. It's like $1.7 trillion. But the New York Times, friend of the working man, no, it's not, friend of the elitist assholes, thinks getting rid of student debt is a bad idea. These are the genius here. The editorial board, a bunch of rich dickheads. I could almost guarantee you. Privileged, rich New York dickheads. Student debt is crushing. Canceling it for everyone is still a bad idea. What's mind-numbing I'm about to show you is the first couple paragraphs of this point out how awful the student debt crisis is and how it's destroying people and intergenerational problems and young people. I'm going to show you all this. Their own words give the case for why we should cancel it, and then they say it's a bad idea. And nowhere in this article do they mention we should have free college like they've had in Western Europe for decades, nor do they mention how the military-industrial complex gets endless money, but we can't spend it on student debt. It's maddening. It's just typical neoliberal corporate media nonsense. The astronomical level of student debt accrued in the United States is inflicting lasting generational damage on the lives of millions of Americans. Yes, good point, New York Times. We should cancel it then, right? More than 45 million people are now carrying more than 1.7 trillion in debt, most of it owed to the federal government. Oh, another great reason. Imagine if we freed up $1.7 trillion and these 45 million people could then pay their bills, get out of debt, get out of other debt, spend that money, infuse it back into the economy. Gee, I wonder if we could do that. The burden of that debt is crushing and follows borrowers throughout their lives. It is delaying marriage and home buying and the birth of children. I know a millennial couple that did all right with some crypto investments and were able to pay off the wife's student loan debts. And that's the only reason they've been able to buy a place. But without like getting kind of lucky with crypto, they wouldn't get it. But what do you expect from a country that has a for-profit prison system? So we need criminals. That's why we go create them and we spend exorbitant amounts of money on police. And we have a for-profit healthcare system. We can't even get free healthcare in the middle of a pandemic. A once in 100-year pandemic, we can't get free healthcare. So if you get COVID, the average hospital stay is $75,000. And you got crippling student loan debt. Around 40% of borrowers never graduate from school in the first place. Again, New York Times, great points you're making why we need to cancel student loan debt. And a third of the debt will never get paid off, according to the Department of Education. Here's a suggestion. That's a reasonable one. The Biden administration should spend its finite resources and political capital on fixing the higher education system to make it more affordable. Okay, again, they won't say free. They won't say free. It's like, we're going to give you, some help with health insurance. No, make it free. Make healthcare free, like it has been in Europe for 70 years. Nope. I remember meeting a woman after a show in Germany. A show in Pensacola, Florida, and she was German. She grew up in Germany. She was in like her mid to late 50s. And she was been living in the States for quite a while. But she said, Graham, I have a master's degree because we get free college in Germany. See, there's the problem. If we have an educated electorate, they might realize that this two-party system is nonsense. They might realize the Democrats could have codified Roe v. Wade 50 years ago under Jimmy Carter, but they won't do it. They won't do it. So and then you're saddled with debt, you're going to have to take whatever crappy job they give you. And if that and if that job has health insurance, you're less likely to go on strike or protest. See how this works? It's just like you can't afford college anyway. So if you don't want to have student loan debt, you can join the military and go fight ridiculous wars for rich people. The military will pay for your college, or, just be an elite athlete. There you go. You get free college. Just be an elite athlete. Just be an all-American high school athlete. There you go. How hard is that? Are you short? Well, just grow to be, close to 7 feet tall. You can get a basketball scholarship. There you go. Boom. Just be 7 feet tall. How come you haven't pulled yourself up by your bootstraps to make you 7 feet tall? Here comes the dumbest part of the entire article. They just laid out all the statistical facts of why the student debt is crushing people. It's ruining people's lives. It's intergenerational debt. Canceling student debt across the board is not one of the ideas. Trying to fix such a shattered system with the flick of a pen on an executive order could make it even worse. How? How could it make it worse? And canceling student debt, you don't even need approval for you're not allocating tax money. You're just saying, this is a federal loan. You don't have to pay it back anymore. That's all you're saying. And you could do it with the flick of a pen. This might be it's a toss-up between which is the dumbest part of the article. And the article goes into then showing people of color have more debt, low-income families have more debt. I mean, just like they make compelling arguments and then disagree, then say this stupid crap. Such a move is legally dubious. No, it's not. Economically unsound. Really? Infusing $1.7 trillion back into the economy? Letting people actually have money to buy homes? If someone in their 20s or 30s doesn't, or 40s even, and I know people in their 40s and 50s that still have student loan debt. So if someone doesn't have this crushing student loan debt, maybe they can go buy a home. Oh, but wait a minute. Then how are all the big banks and the management companies going to scoop up all these homes? Yeah, that's it. They've been doing that since Obama. Oh, weird. Anyway, politically fraught. No, you would get reelected like that, Joe Biden, you dumbass. All these young people would go, I don't care about Joe, whatever. He just took all this debt off my plate. I'm voting for Joe Biden again. It'd be that simple. What's politically fraught about it? And then you'd show the Republicans for the greedy assholes that they truly are. But you can't do that because you're just as greedy as them, Democrats and democratically funded New York Times. Educationally problematic. How? And then what you do is you make college free. You just make college free. Like you could do with Medicare for all, which could be done with the flick of a pen. Oh, I'm so sick of these stupid people. There's clear solutions out there that they go, oh, it's so problematic. How are we going to do that? With any of it. We need a Green New Deal. Well, gee, what if we had free college as part of the Green New Deal and free Medicare for all, as part of the Green New Deal? So young people were going to college to learn about finding solutions to reverse climate collapse so the human race doesn't die. Oh, it's economically fraught with educational blah, blah, dubious, big, dumb words because I work at the New York Times and I've never worked an actual day of my life. I don't know what student debt is because everything's been handed to me. That's how I got my job at the New York Times. The Biden administration should focus on confronting the problems with college affordability and loan repayment. Yeah, like make it free. Am I the only one that can read this stupid op-ed piece and just say, make college free, do student debt forgiveness and make college free? How hard is this? and loan repayments. So more students and graduates have a better chance at that prosperity. You know what's the best chance? Is if you do student debt forgiveness and make college free. Well, I know Johnny Jackass over at the New York Times is going, but how are we going to pay for it? Oh, weird. Did you ask that question when this House passes 1.5 trillion spending plan? Ukraine aid in, COVID funding out. Wow, 1.5, that's right in the neighborhood of student loan debt. That's also the price that they spent to make the stupid F-35 a complete waste of time. Weird that this didn't figure into your dumb op-ed piece, New York Times. Can you explain why? Did you write an op-ed piece saying, how are we going to pay for this? Endless money for Ukraine and war? We can't even get COVID stimulus? And remember the first stimulus plans from 2 years ago that gave wealthy people, even Time Magazine called this out. No lessons have been learned. Why the $1 trillion coronavirus bailout benefited the rich. I talked about this 2 years ago when it first is the single greatest upward transference of wealth in the history of this country, if not the whole earth. But forgiving student debt's a bad idea. We just can't. Big Wall Street companies, their PPP and SBA loans are forgiven. But if you're a small business owner, it's not. It should be the opposite. Hey, New York Times editorial board, did you miss this? The $40 billion. Actually, it was Congress asked for $33 billion. And then the Senate, also controlled by the Democrats, kicked in an extra $7 billion, making it 40. Boy, nothing. When you hear bipartisan, nothing. I mean, they just must have just orgies over at the Capitol building between the Republicans and Democrats whenever they hear war money, because they know no one's going to question them. No one's going to say no for war. Not the New York Times, not CNN, not Fox, not MSNBC. None of them. None of them. None of these people. None of them will, because there's always money for war. Oh, wait. Why is there always money for war? Because the defense industry, this is just their 2020 donations. They gave $49 million across all candidates for both of these filthy, corrupt, awful whorehouse parties. If you think the Republicans or Democrats are good party, you think your party is better than the other one, you're deluding yourself. You're literally telling yourself Ted Bundy's better than Jeffrey Dahmer because he didn't eat his victims. I mean, Ted Bundy, okay, sure, he beat and chopped these women up and murdered them and raped them, but like he didn't eat them. He's not a monster. They're both serial killers. The Republicans and Democrats are awful. They're the worst things for America. America, wake up. Stop voting for these parties. Stop giving them your money. They're horrible. $2.7 million to Trump's campaign. The defense industry gave, and $3.1 million to Joe Biden. That's why there's never-ending streams of war. 30 billion here. That was a Wall Street bailout, so they got their money's worth backing all these filthy candidates and these two whorehouse parties, right? 1.5 trillion for COVID spending, but we can't seem to even, it's not even spending forgiving student loans. This is spending tax dollars. Forgiving student loans is not even spending money. It's just saying you don't have to pay it back. We say that to Wall Street all the time. You don't have to pay it back. Banks, you corrupt the system. You don't have to pay it back. American people, you have to pay it back. You're struggling to pay your student loans? Did you think Joe Biden was going to do the right thing? He's not. Nancy Pelosi's not going to do the thing. Kamala Harris isn't going to do the right thing. Mike Pence, Donald Trump, none of these people are going to do the right thing because they are morally bankrupt. They are soulless, morally bankrupt predators that are actually hired by the predator ruling class, many of whom are sex trafficking pedophiles. They're awful people. Fox News is awful. MSNBC's awful. CNN's awful. They're awful. And big YouTube platforms that are now just trying to chase clicks, they're awful. Because if they're rich, they're awful. They're awful. They're awful people. Once you make a lot of money, they've done studies, you start losing empathy for regular people. They don't care about you at all. And the New York Times is paid to make you think you're bad for wanting things that the wealthy get all the time. The wealthy gets tax breaks. The wealthy get stimulus money that they don't have to pay back. They get free loans. They get, all the time. But you and I can't get it. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. And that's how we're going to make Gotham great again. So shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.